Looking to find out what's happening on the NDSU campus? Watch Bison Information Network News every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday on Cable 1 Channel 70. This student-run weekly newscast covers relevant news and current events, entertainment, Bison sports, and more. Watch BIN News Fridays at 9 p.m., Saturdays at 9 a.m. and 9 p.m., and Sundays at 9 a.m. on Cable 1 Channel 70.
Bison Information Network News is brought to you in partnership with Cable 1.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another edition of X's and O's Rebooted. I'm Joe Thompson.
I'm Isaac Dienison.
And we got a lot of stuff covering today, a lot of stuff about NDSU basketball, a lot of sports covering this past weekend. We got some NFC championship, AFC championship game. It was probably one of the greatest conference championship Sundays I've ever witnessed.
I'd say so. Both games went to overtime. Never happened before.
Yeah. But more on that in a little bit later. But first, we're going to discuss something else that happened here locally this past weekend. NDSU versus UND in men's and women's basketball. Isaac, the men's game was pretty competitive. We're going to start with that one first since it happened first. Very, very competitive. Went down to the wire. Talk to me about that game.
Well, it's nice to see now both NDSU and UND both in the same conference again after such a long hiatus.
Been a long time.
Last time that happened, both teams were Division II programs back in the early aughts. So it's nice to see them getting back together again and playing consistently again and playing meaningful games instead of just games against each other in a non-conference setting. Yeah. But it was nice to see the Shack rocking again on Saturday, and also the game turned out to be a pretty good one.
I'm gonna have to agree with you there. It was nice to finally have UND back in our conference. It really didn't make any much sense to me to have them out of our conference since they're only an hour and a half away. Mm-hmm. So to finally have them back in the Summit League is something that's really huge for both programs, I think, because I think it could reignite that spark, that rivalry that they had so long ago. And now talk to me a little bit about the women's game. That one wasn't as competitive. NDSU ended up winning that game by, I think, 12 points.
It wasn't nearly as well attended either,
no,
unfortunately. But still, the result does remain the same. Yes. NDSU did get the win. It was a nice performance from Michelle Geisler-Rove and Emily Dietz in that game for the Bison women. But still another, this is another, especially in that sport specifically, big competitive games back in the 90s. It's still once again it's the same lines. They played each other consistently. Both the men's and women's teams have played against UND pretty consistently since the early 2010s. But it just still hasn't been the same because it's not really you're not playing for conference bragging rights.
Yes, I think that's very important to note because since this is their first game for UND, both men's and women's basketball, their first game in the Summit League as a member of the Summit League. I think it's important that although it's been an old school rivalry from Division II, it's still fresh in Division I. It's going to take a few seasons for it to fully grow and become this big heated rivalry that it was back in the 80s.
Because geography is one of the big things that can help ignite a rivalry and keep it going. If you got teams that are at least close to each other, that play each other a lot, know all the other players on the teams, and they play each other consistently, they're going to know their tendencies, and you're going to get plenty of good matchups, hopefully, for years to come in both men's basketball and women's basketball.
Yeah, and let's be noted, it's not just going to be in basketball that UND is going to be moving into NDSU's conference. And not in this upcoming season, but the next football season in 2020, UND will be officially joining the Missouri Valley Football Conference, and that rivalry will also be reignited as well. How important is that going to be for UND and NDSU moving forward?
Well, it's not going to be for the same implications that they used to for over 100 years. They used to play for a trophy called the Nickel Trophy, which they can't play for anymore due to obvious reasons if you look into into what actually is on that trophy. But nonetheless, it's still going to be nice to see them again. It's basically for the same reasons, but there's still a lot more. I think there's probably a lot more passion behind the football rivalry. I think
absolutely
in terms of them playing, the two schools playing against each other than any other sport, because just of how long they've been playing. When they started playing each other in 1894, it was one of the longest running college football series in all of North America, when they stopped playing in 2003 when the Bison elected to declare to go to Division I to be a Division I school.
Yes, and I think it's much like the basketball rivalries. It's going to take a while for that rivalry to gain as much traction as it did back in the day.
No doubt about that.
Partly because NDSU is really good at football, and UND is
They were good for a little bit in 2016, but they've kind of fallen off since then.
They're not on NDSU's level, and they probably won't be for a while. But I hope that rivalry builds up to, hopefully, one day the same level as NDSU versus South Dakota State.
Rather, I think it was 2017 that they were really good, if I'm not mistaken. I remember them being like a top 10 team.
They did make the playoffs a couple years ago.
Yeah.
But they lost I believe they lost in the first round.
Yeah. But nonetheless, like you know, they have not proven to be capable of sustaining that level of play that they showed for that 1 year.
Yeah, but at the same time, as of right now, NDSU only plays UND every 4 years. When UND comes to town,
or at least that's how it's been.
That's how it's been since they're in different conferences. Mm-hmm. It's always been really exciting when UND comes to town for NDSU students. The tickets sell out.
Oh, goodness.
In like the first couple minutes.
Yeah, neither of us were here for the last time the two teams played each other in the Dome, but that was still an unbelievable environment just watching the game highlights on YouTube after the fact, now almost 4 years later.
Yeah.
That was a pretty good game. And NDSU was led by Carson Wentz at the time, and that was a that's probably if it was an NDSU team led by Carson Wentz back in the day, it was usually a good sign.
Pretty good sign, yeah. And then it's going to be our senior year is the last time they play each other as non-conference foes before like we said, UND moves to the Missouri Valley Conference. How important is it going to be for NDSU to finally get that one last non-conference win over UND before they move to the Missouri Valley Conference?
I mean, I think with them, their mindset, it's going to be just like another game because we've seen how the team operates from year to year. Any game is just a 1 week season. They're trying to win. They're trying to go 1-0 on that week. And certainly, I think with the geography of UND being what it is and the history between the two teams, there's going to be something there. But I don't think that it's going to be too much of a factor. The newfound rivalry is not going to. I don't think it's going to be too much of a factor.
Do you think that UND will ever get to the heights that NDSU has gotten to in these past few years?
If NDSU, after we saw how they had some success in the late 2000s, beating Minnesota a few times, and beating the teams they did in the late 2000s. But if anybody like NDSU can go from a mid-tier FCS team to a dynasty like NDSU did, if anybody can do, I mean, it seems like it just all depends on the right culture you have in place. So, I mean, it's very hard to replicate, certainly, but it's not out of the realm of implausibility that UND or any team really can create a type of culture that NDSU has just because it's been done before.
Yeah, and then going back to what we said earlier about the old trophy that NDSU and UND used to play for, the nickel trophy, which they can't do anymore, specifically because the coin has a Sioux on it, and UND is no longer called the Sioux, so they can't use that. But do you think if they were to create a rivalry where they would want to have a trophy, what do you think they would call it, and what do you think would be on it? What would represent it? That's a tough question.
I don't know. And I'm not a person that has a good answer for it. I haven't really had a chance to think about that very much.
Yeah, no, I just...
That's not my decision either.
Yeah.
So...
We're both coming from different places where we're not too familiar with the NDSU-UND rivalry.
We didn't grow up with the rivalry. We both grew up in the Twin Cities. We're more familiar with the Minnesota Gopher hockey program.
Yes, absolutely.
Taking on UND and having those battles.
But that doesn't mean we don't have the same hatred for UND as NDSU fans do. We have, I think we're both
we at least understand.
Even though the Gopher men's hockey team don't play UND as regularly as they used to because they're no longer in the same conference, it's still a pretty heated rivalry. I don't think
they played each other in Vegas, and it sold out down there. That was a big deal. But it was mostly UND fans
because Gopher men's hockey teams kind of fell off. But anyway, well, we're going to take a quick break here, and when we come back, we're going to discuss the NFC Championship game and the AFC Championship game.
Conveniently located across the street from NDSU's campus, Herd and Horns is the place to go, whether you're looking for a fantastic meal or just a quick bite to eat.
Hi, welcome to Herd Horns. Are you something to drink right away?
With friendly staff and excellent service, it's a restaurant for all ages. Herd Horns, your home for great food and Bison sports. Welcome to Bison Block. If you are an NDSU student, you know it well. It's located right across the street from campus. How would you like to live in the same building as Starbucks, Jimmy John's, and Herd Horns? Bison Block offers high-quality apartments at a very affordable price. For more information, go to our website at bisonblockfargo.com to apply today.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to X's and O's Rebooted. Before we get into our recap of the NFC and AFC championship games, we want to take a moment to plug this beautiful shirt that Isaac is wearing. It's our official Bison Information Network t-shirt, and we're going to be giving some of them away. All you have to do is subscribe to this channel first and foremost, right?
Absolutely, subscribe.
And then on this video, once it's uploaded to YouTube, comment why you want a free t-shirt. I don't know about you, but there's nothing better to a college student than free stuff.
Absolutely, especially how sleek this shirt is. It's all black and stuff too.
Yeah,
I mean, it's like perfect for layering.
It's
especially
great
in this cold weather.
Yeah, so comment below on this video why you want a free t-shirt, and we will pick the best comment out of all of them, and the winner will get a free t-shirt.
Spread the word.
We will contact you about this whole giveaway if you end up being the winner. But now we're going to move on to the AFC and NFC championship game. As we mentioned earlier, Conference Championship Sunday, that was
wild.
Incredible.
That was wild. That was definitely one of the most entertaining days of football of the entire year.
Just back and forth between both games. Both games have a little bit of controversy to both of them.
Yeah.
We're going to start with the first game of that day, the NFC championship games. Rams versus Saints.
Yep.
As we know, the Rams ended up winning that game in overtime, 26-23. Jared Goff had 297 passing yards and a touchdown plus an interception. He also had 10 rushing yards on the day. Drew Brees had 249 passing yards with 2 passing touchdowns and an interception. Both seem stats pretty similar overall.
I'd say.
But talk to me a little bit about this game. What did you think of it?
I didn't expect the game. I thought it was going to be another shootout. I thought, like, with the way the first meeting was 45-35 and you got 80 points between the two teams, why not go for another round of that? But the Rams getting shut out in the first quarter was something I didn't expect. The Saints getting out to a 13-0 start, that definitely helped the Rams, though, in terms of their want to try to get back into the game and play with more urgency. The Saints getting out to the good start that they had, very promising. The Rams couldn't really do much of anything. Todd Gurley still not 100% apparently. He only had 4 carries in the game and just wasn't himself. C.J. Anderson had the bulk of the workload on the ground, but the Saints defense, give them credit for at least the way they played in the first half, stepping up the way they did, but also give credit to the Rams for punching back. They didn't go away quietly.
Yeah, I'm gonna. Although you said you were surprised by how the Saints got to that 13-0 start, I was a little bit nervous because a regular season game is completely different from an NFC Championship game.
Yes, no doubt.
I was fully expecting the Saints to come out firing, and if the Rams weren't able to recover, it was going to be a long day for Sean McVay, Jared Goff, and the Rams. But then once you start to see that towards the end of the second quarter, that the Rams started to fight back a little bit.
Yep.
They started scoring some points. They started getting field goals.
They started getting big plays, too.
Yeah, they started stopping the Saints in their tracks, shutting down Alvin Kamara, shutting down Michael Thomas, shutting down all their weapons on offense.
I wouldn't say Alvin Kamara really got shut down. He had a lot of success against the Rams linebackers, but they still did neutralize that offense. Yeah. Michael Thomas definitely getting neutralized was a big blow for the Saints in the game overall. But in the first half still, the Rams getting big plays, that was important as they fought back into that game.
And then now it's going to get interesting because we're going to talk about the second half, and that's when the game really stepped it up to a notch from being just a pretty good game to I'd say a classic, if I dare say so.
For some fan bases, for some areas of the country, infamous or famous, whatever you prefer, but it'll be remembered for the wrong reasons in some parts of the USA.
Let's just not beat around the bush. Let's just talk about that pass interference, that no pass interference call.
Yeah,
it was.
I as a neutral observer, that was egregious.
I'm sorry. Egregious.
That was really awful.
It was really, really bad.
That was really awful.
It sort of flipped the momentum a little bit, at least for a brief moment in time. It gave the Rams some confidence, like, hey, we got away with a big no call there.
Correct, because the Saints still did take the lead, though.
Yes.
That may get lost in the details. After that call, what happened was so bad, but the Saints still did take the lead, and they still had a chance to stop the Rams after that play.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. Even after that play, the Saints had multiple opportunities to win that game. After the Rams took the lead 23-20, the Saints got it down with inside the 20 with like a minute 50, with the 2-minute warning to go, and they kept passing it and passing it and passing it. The way a lot of people were saying, they should have just ran the clock out, forced the Rams to use their final timeout, and then just win.
I think what happened, like if you have the pass interference call, you get first down, and the Rams have one timeout, and then you can just run the clock down to 0 and kick the field goal because the game was tied at that point. But yeah, like not having that go your way definitely a crushing blow then for the Saints in that.
And then at the same time in overtime, Saints won the toss. They got the ball first.
Don't turn the ball over.
Don't turn the ball over. Drew Brees just made a bad throw. Can't turn the ball over at such a crucial point in the game. That's the main game plan for any NFL team, regardless of the game, whether it's regular season, preseason, playoffs. You don't turn the ball over late.
Especially when you're a quarterback that's never lost in the playoffs at home.
Yeah, but
you just can't do that.
You can't do that. And then,
like, regardless of what the fans in New Orleans say, that they want the game to replay it. And
regardless how many lawsuits they
you had
play.
Chances, guys.
You had opportunity after opportunity to win that game.
Ask us Vikings fans how we feel about you getting slighted on a call in a big playoff game on a national stage.
Yeah, but we digress. We're gonna go ahead and move along to the AFC Championship game. Another pretty much a classic game. Chiefs versus Patriots. Once again, begrudgingly, Patriots win. They go to another Super Bowl.
You know, I was about to be so happy to be completely wrong on my Super Bowl pick because I had Saints Patriots in the Super Bowl, and it was looking like in the second half of the game, the Chiefs were going to be pulling it out, and I was going to be completely wrong on both my picks in the Super Bowl. But unfortunately, just wasn't meant to be, I guess, for the Kansas City Chiefs.
You can't doubt Tom Brady in the playoffs. I mean, look at his stats. He went 30 for 46, 348 passing yards, and a touchdown.
Man, he did have those.
He's 41 years old, and he's still
doesn't age, people. He's a cyborg.
He's still throwing bombs. He's still making accurate throws. He's still even a little bit mobile. It's crazy. But also Patrick Mahomes, he played dynamite as well. He went 16 of 31 passing,
very
295
slow start in the first
yards.
half, but still very impressive numbers.
Finished with 295 passing yards and 3 touchdowns. Talk to me about this game, like starting with the first half. Like we said, it started off really slow for the Chiefs, and the Patriots, much like the Saints, really took over with a 13-point lead.
And yeah, New England definitely being underdogs as well on the road in a cold environment. Definitely not something New England's used to.
No.
But still, the way they handled it, their defense clamped down in that first half of Trey Flowers, Adrian Claiborne, that pass rush applying pressure on Patrick Mahomes, and the defense, and just them not allowing really anything to happen in that first half until very late when the Chiefs did get on the board. But nonetheless, just hats off to the Patriots for the way they played in that first half, neutralizing Patrick Mahomes.
I have to agree with you there. I watched most of the game. I missed like the first couple minutes, but watching that first half, I was really impressed with the Patriots defense. I've been critical of the Patriots defense since last season. It hasn't been very good. Not since Super Bowl 49. That Super Bowl 49 defense, it was pretty good, but in the last few years they've lost some of the players from that core. And the core that's still there is starting to age.
You know, one thing that hasn't really been talked about too much, coming into the conference championship weekend, the Patriots' scoring defense was actually the best of the 4 remaining teams in the tournament.
That's a good. I didn't even know that.
That's a fact. They had a top 10 scoring defense in the regular season, folks.
Yeah, but and then like we said, they just shut down that potent Chiefs offense. Tyreek Hill only had 1 catch.
Yep.
And it was a pretty big catch.
Yes, very important, but
it was just 1.
Yep.
But let's move ahead to the real meat and potatoes of this game, which made this game so great.
Oh, boy.
The second half, specifically that fourth quarter, where the Chiefs just came unglued.
That was
it was
absolutely
amazing.
Wild.
But talk to me about that second half.
Oh, boy, it was a chess match. And it was just a classic battle of the minds on offense, Andy Reid versus Bill Belichick. And it's just basically whoever made the most amount of plays on offense was the one that was going to win the game. And the Patriots in that second half, they kept they kind of kept getting in their own way a little bit. The Chiefs kind of had them on the ropes. They were turning the ball over. They were dropping the ball, and Tom Brady was making a few inaccurate passes in that fourth quarter. The Chiefs were getting in the way defensively. They were making 4th down stops. They had an interception on Tom Brady actually in the first half that was really integral to the outcome of the game, even though the Patriots did end up winning, but it wasn't decided in regulation. That's how they were able to get it to overtime. The Chiefs' defense making the clutch plays. Even though they did allow, 524 yards of offense, they still made a lot of clutch stops during regulation.
I have to agree with you. I think the Chiefs' defense, once they got into the locker room at halftime, I think they really decided to buckle down and if we don't stop Tom Brady and the Patriots offense right now, there's no way in heck we're going to win this game. So I really was impressed the way they buckled down on defense and forced those turnovers, forced Tom Brady to make bad throws, really locked down the Patriots offense, even though they did score touchdowns late to keep it within the lead. But the Chiefs offense came unglued in that second half, especially in that fourth quarter. Patrick Mahomes showed why, and he is, in my opinion, should be the MVP. He was great with his throws. He was hitting his receivers. They were running great plays. It was really, really impressive all the way around.
Making guys like Damian Williams prove to be very valuable, especially since coming into the year, he's your backup. He's like even your 3rd string running back maybe at some point in time in the season.
Yeah.
If you have a good, that's just kind of how the NFL has been evolving nowadays. Running backs, like we saw even with the Rams, C.J. Anderson, he's overlooked and he's now in a starring role and a team that's headed to the Super Bowl. But with the Chiefs, though, as we were shown in that fourth quarter, using Damian Williams as a receiver and as a runner was very effective for them in that game.
Yeah, absolutely. They utilized him to the best of his abilities, and he got a couple touchdowns off in that fourth quarter that were really just cakewalks into the end zone.
Very well designed.
Very, very, very well designed. But we can't talk about this game without addressing some of the issues that ultimately led to the Chiefs' demise. The first one, I would say, would be the roughing the passer call on.
Which is just another.
If you didn't watch the game, one of the Chiefs defenders.
See, say you're Tom Brady and I am the Chiefs defender. I forget who it was that did it. And right here is where his face mask is. I just kind of nicked his face mask, and they called that roughing the passer.
Roughing the passer. His arm hit Tom Brady's shoulder. Wasn't even in his throwing motion.
it happened. I know, and you have to deal with it. You can't let these games fall into the officials' hands.
Yes.
But come on, guys.
And then at the same time, later on, with just under a minute to go in the fourth quarter, the Chiefs forced yet another turnover on Tom Brady.
It was a fourth down play, too, I'm pretty sure, wasn't it?
Yeah, I believe so. Fourth down play, what should have been a game-sealing interception for the Chiefs, sending the Chiefs to the Super Bowl for a rematch with the
Rams in that earlier season Monday night game. Yep.
Was called back due to D. Ford's offsides call.
And he was actually offside too. Like,
he was
there's
very
no bones
clearly
about
offsides.
He was definitely offside, a heartbreaker in that sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the Patriots end up tying the game. They're actually taking the lead, and the Chiefs had to tie the game again.
Yes. But then I think that was obviously crushing because they had the game won, and just really unfortunate for the Chiefs. But I think one of the biggest things that people are overlooking in this game is how clean Tom Brady's jersey was.
Oh, man.
There was one quarterback hit on Tom Brady that whole game. The Chiefs' pass rush was virtually non-existent that whole game.
Exactly non-existent. 0 sacks.
No sacks. Tom Brady's jersey was clean as a whistle. And basically what it came down to once it went to overtime, who was going to win the coin toss was going to win the game. Because Brady was hot late in that fourth quarter.
Yes.
Mahomes was on fire. Both of them, whoever got the ball first, was going to end up winning that game.
They were going to lead their team to the end zone. I think so.
Because I think by the end of that game, both defenses were absolutely gassed. And you saw it because the Chiefs held them to several third and longs in that overtime drive, and they couldn't stop them.
It's just Julian Edelman.
Simple plays.
Yep, Julian Edelman's been a very reliable receiver for plenty of years now when he has been in the lineup for the Patriots. And, just being able to cover guys like him, it's becoming much more important for corners to be able to cover slot receivers nowadays in the NFL. And Julian Edelman's your prime example of being a slippery slot receiver that you have to be able to hold down in order to slow down the Patriots' offense fully.
Julian Edelman may not get the recognition in the regular season that he does, but he's a darn good wide receiver when it comes to the postseason. He's made so many clutch catches.
See that last drive in the fourth quarter against the Falcons in that one Super Bowl where he's like hanging down here to make the catch and plucking it off the turf.
On a tipped pass from Robert Alford, I remember that play vividly, and I was like, there's no way he caught that. And then you look at the replay.
That's actually
my goodness, he actually caught that.
Yep.
So
definitely Julian Edelman. He's a
clutch performer.
You got to account for him.
Yeah. Well, that's going to do it for us today on this edition of X's and O's.
If you want to hear our Super Bowl predictions, you got to tune in next week.
Tune in next week since it's not for another.
Nope. Super Bowl's not for another week.
Another week. So we're not going to focus on the Super Bowl right now until our next episode. But be sure to subscribe to the channel, to try and comment below on this video to try and win a free t-shirt.
Absolutely.
We will pick the best comment to win the t-shirt, and we'll figure out a way to contact you, whether if we know you or not. We'll see what happens. But until then, I'm Joe Thompson.
I'm Isaac Dienison.
Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.